To begin our journey, I wanted to show you how the builders of this home fed the heat and air conditioning from the attic, down through an exterior chaseway and into the lower level of the house. This was done due to the lack of headroom between the upper and lower floors of the home. This is fairly common in the home building world, and to the naked eye, most people would never suspect that this was anything other than standard architecture. As we move to the other side, you can see more clearly how this all ties together. The heat and air were then piped perpendicular to the chaseway, to the various air vents in the lower story. The chaseway itself is not unsightly, but I wanted to give it more of a dramatic look. We had recently rocked around our new wood stove, and I thought that a rustic wood beam look would add some much-needed ambience to the overall area. I used Scotch-Brite pads to sand and clean the exposed sides of the chaseway and then used drywall mud and a trowel to coat the chaseway one side at a time, approximately 1/4 inch thick. After letting the mud set up for approximately 10 minutes, I began to lightly scratch wood grain and knot holes into the set using a variety of tools, letting my creative juices flow, and using various photographs for reference. I even used my finger to carve a heart shape, resembling an old carving you might find on a tree. The only problem was that I painted the whole project a dark brown, and it was far too dark to see all of the intricate details and wood grain that I had put into this project. Therefore, today we are going to remedy that, and repaint the whole thing to give this rustic wood beam art project the look it truly deserves. So, let's get started and see if we can transform this into something amazing. I want to preface this by stating that this particular project is very inexpensive to create and I used no special tools. As you can see, my palette is a lid from a bucket, and I used simple acrylic paints and only a few brushes to create this. However, there is no exact recipe for colors, and you will have to rely on your own creative eye to recreate a natural wood look. If you don't get the desired result in your first try, you can always make changes. It's only paint, and it can be easily manipulated until you get the look you are after. I am, of course, going to start by lightening up the color considerably. I am choosing to start with a medium to light brown. It is best to start with a dark color for a base coat, which I already have, in order to get the full effect of wood grain. I use a dry brush technique to lightly brush the lighter color onto the already dark panel and try to brush in a perpendicular pattern so that the lighter color doesn't fill in the darker hues of the grain. If you use a wet brush, it will cover too heavily, and you will lose the effect of depth. I find it is best to continue one whole side to completion on each coat without stopping to avoid any start and stop lines. You will, however, want to take a step back occasionally to view your handiwork, and make any corrections and changes. After the first coat, you can already see the dramatic transformation to this section of the beam. The intricate detail of the wood grain that was carved into the drywall mud shows through so brilliantly. Even the heart that I carved into it for my wife takes on a more realistic look. I am very pleased with the results thus far, and only wish I had done this years ago. But enough of this standing around, I need to get busy on the next section while this is drying. In order to get the realistic look of tree bark, I will be using multiple colors, as tree bark has many variations in both color and texture. I kept several photos of trees around our home close by for reference. I will be starting with a deep gray color. Now that it is fully covered, we will let it dry a while, before moving on to the next step. Screw that, I'm an impatient guy, so let's kick the tires, and light the fires, Big Daddy. Following our normal theme here, we are going progressively lighter with each additional color. For the first coat we wanted total coverage, but for the remaining coats we are going back to the dry brush method using perpendicular strokes primarily, to hit only the top edge of the bark, and leave the darker colors in the crevices to show through, giving it depth. You can already see a change, and we still have steps ahead of us. For the third step we are going lighter still, using an extremely dry brush and a light touch to just feather in the highest edges of the bark, which gives it a very realistic look. So far, I am very pleased with what I'm seeing. This is such a dramatic change to what I had before. I have no doubts that this is going to look amazing. For the final touch on our tree bark effect, we are adding a very light green hue to it, as trees often have a slight coat of moss on them. For this application, I tore a piece of one of the Scotch-Brite pads and crumpled it up to use as a sponge, lightly patting the paint on in various locations on the tree bark. Here's a quick look at the finished product. As the paint dries, the effects won't be as dramatic as they are now, and will blend in nicely. Now it's time to get busy on the next task. I took a chance and decided to experiment with a different color variant. I am using a touch of yellow and amber to the paint, knowing that if I don't like it, I can always change it. Don't let yourself be too afraid to try different things. Some of the best things you will ever create will be by accident. And speaking of accidents, I almost screwed up big time. I had forgotten to border the entire section with tape before starting to paint. Luckily I caught it in time. We will keep this between us, okay? While that section has time to dry a little, I am multitasking and starting on the last section of the project. I saved it for last, because I can do most of the brushing from the ground without the need of a ladder. This should make it go considerably faster. Now that everything has had time to set up, I took a final look at everything to make sure it was ready, and now I get to do the final, and funnest step, which is to add the shading and highlights. This is notably the most important step in the project. This creates the desired realism in my opinion. This is also an ongoing step, as you may spot something a week from now that you want to highlight. Take your time on this step, and trust your eyes. Keep it subtle, and don't overdo it. Think of it like music. A bass player may not be the standout in any band, but they can make or break the sound. The true satisfaction comes at the end, when you can stand back and take it all in. Knowing that you took a chance, and dared to stretch the boundaries of your creativity, to produce a one-of-a-kind work of art. I believe that God put in every being the desire to create. It's what we are made to do, and there is nothing that can fill that void, or satisfy us more than when we create, whether through art, music, writing, or any of 1,000 other avenues to express oneself. My desire for you, the viewer, is that this will inspire you to try something new or different. Remember that nobody spends more time in your home than you do. Therefore, it makes no sense to me why people will only decorate in a certain way, or keep their homes like a museum for fear that a guest will think they have a cluttered home. Screw that, live your life on your terms without apology. If any of these thoughts or ideas resonate with you, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, live your life for you, with color. Weird is the new norm. Thanks for watching.